and Alastair in our weekly awesome show called Cosmic Coffee, where we bring you everything cosmic and everything delicious. We break everything apart from metaphysics, religion, art, color, sound, frequencies, healers. I myself am a shaman and healer for the last 10 years, and my husband is a well-known trance channel and also psychic medium. And every week we put on the Circle of Light, and you can join us on Zoom on Sundays. But Alastair and I have this really fun connection that we discovered the way he was raised in your Baha'i religion. Am I saying that correctly?
That is correct.
He has basically come into the planet ready to play. So we have really found a lot of areas that we can show you how you can express yourself more, how you could be more in tune with your own creations, how you can develop yourself as a psychic and as a healer, and to go deeper into the worlds that you're creating. So today what we're talking about is, since we're huge believers in music, Alastair has been a performer and a musician and a guitarist for over 15 years. And I myself am an artist. So what we're really discussing all the time is how music and art and movies and games and VR have changed and shaped us, but also how we are using that medium to find ourselves again, to heal, to come forward, to do deep introspective work. It's a great healing tool. And so we're going to jump in on that conversation. So Alastair, I have to tell you about my VR experiences. Are you familiar you're familiar with virtual reality, right?
I am. I have had, I think I've tried VR headset on maybe 4 times ever. So
okay. Well, the first time I put on VR goggles, this was many years ago, and I realized that I came to the right place, because if that wasn't here, if I didn't experience VR, I don't know if I would have been as interested in the planet as I am now. VR takes you into those dimensions and those realms that you always want to be in, but you are surrounded 360. And I got obsessed with wanting to feel it like physically. So I went and searched out these new companies out here in Los Angeles and Southern California, where they had VR stations. So there were like Steven Spielberg created one called Dreamscape. And then we have one in Santa Monica called The Void. And they have Star Wars and major film type experiences for about 15 minutes. You put on an exoskeleton and you have your hands and feet, and everything is tracked, motion sensor. And so you go into these realities and you literally your brain doesn't really know that this is not real. There's only some variances that this is VR, obviously, but your brain gets tricked. You get scared at the right times. You laugh at the right times. You feel everything. And sometimes there's fans blowing on you, or scents. They spray things in the air that smells like the thing you're looking at. So this is just the beginning, obviously, but this is the most healing thing I've ever done. It feels like I've meditated for 2 hours just doing one 15-minute session. Because it goes into that deepest part of the recesses of your mind, like when you meditate, almost like when you go into a sleep state, because in a way you're kind of dreaming. So you kind of start going into this like meditative state, and you get very relaxed and calm as you're playing, even if it's a high excitement. But it's something, the way it's happening, it's hard to describe. I think this is the beginning of like possibly old age homes, people that have senile issues, dementia, people that have high anxiety.
Yeah.
And they also have, YouTube has 360, which is VR content. And a lot of filmmakers right now are trying to create and have begun creating VR full feature length films, which are 93 minutes. And there's going to be theaters where you can go and have a VR experience for the 2 hours, and you can watch an actual movie.
That is insane. That's like my experiences with VR very remedial. First one was a zombie game where you're stood there and you've got the zombies coming after you, got to shoot them.
Right.
And then the most recent one was at Christmas at my dad's house. My youngest stepbrother got the PlayStation VR headset for Christmas, and you're going down in this diving cage, and there's these fish and sharks and stuff. But you said something very interesting that I'm just going straight in, like
Sure.
the fish and all that. Old age homes.
Yes.
Have you seen the show Black Mirror?
Yes, I have.
Specifically, the episode San Junipero.
Yes, I've seen so many. Are you talking about the one where they go into all these different realities and he
Kind
married,
of. It's like
he gets married and everything, but it doesn't actually happen?
it's like there's two women. One of them's an invalid. One of them's really. They're both very old.
Oh,
And
yes. One is yes. I have seen.
yeah, so the idea that they, because I've got quite mixed feelings about this. I love the
Really?
idea of putting the headset on and going in and having the experience. I'd love to do something like one of those, like a sniper game, and you've got like a treadmill and
They have that.
everything's moving around you. I would love to do that. The thing that interested me was in that Black Mirror episode, how they kind of ultimately ended up having their consciousness uploaded to this kind of server. I think that's quite a fascinating concept there. But the idea that you could just spend the last years of your life in this alternate reality, not encumbered by your ailing physical body, is quite fascinating.
Well, I know I'm not going to explain this right, but there was a study that was done that was not VR, but it was a study where they made this it was like a city, a small city. It was like a set, like a movie set, and they recreated the 1920s, and they took a bunch of senior citizens from that age group and they let them live there. I'm sure it's a famous study. I think you may have heard that. And it started to change the way they remembered things. They started to get more energy. They started dancing more because everywhere they looked, the movie theaters, the restaurants, everything was exactly how they remember when they were in their 20s. And so imagine if you can do that in the comfort of your nursing home.
Didn't that kind of negate some of the effects of the dementia?
It does, because then you have to go back into the real world. But what about if every day, like there's study, or there's not just studies, but there are holistic practitioners that have equipment like VR equipment, and they do actually go into nursing homes to this day. They let people like interact in different worlds and have past experiences from their childhood in VR, and they do come to life. It changes you. Like, I obviously don't have dementia or any of those issues, but I know that it has helped me to defrag and completely take any heavy tension conversations that I have mentally, ones that are stuck on repeat and I can't release them. Sometimes just getting into VR just wipes the slate clean. I just
what platform do you use for your
I use
VR
the
at home?
Oculus.
Is that connected to, is it PC, is that, or console, or?
Yes, it's a wireless, it's connected directly to their own servers. So you have all the games that they provide online. So you have a Bluetooth wireless connection, and then you can go on YouTube, you can go anywhere. So as far as connecting to a game, like you had the PlayStation, I know that you can do that. I haven't needed to do anything other than go onto their servers because they have so many games.
So I could literally just buy an Oculus and then bam,
I'm
away, hook it up to the internet.
You just log in, create a profile, and you're in their system. Some games are free, some are you purchase, and the price ranges depending on how many megabytes that you have access to. So the lower range, I think, is $200, and that is you get, I can't remember if it was like 70. I can't remember exactly how much data space you have, but that's how many games that you can play or it can host for you, and or how fast the loading time is, because these games very heavy.
I've just called it up here on the screen. Like, because I look down here, I've got a computer screen just here. So I'm like doing there's always one person on the show, isn't it, with the computer? Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'll
right.
just
You're that
look it
guy.
up.
You're the chair guy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's interesting because while you're saying, like, I can just have a quick look. This looks amazing. This looks really amazing, particularly that you can just buy this and you don't need any other hardware. You just need that, and you're.
Don't need any other hardware. It just comes with the Oculus. I actually want to go downstairs and get it right now and show it to you. Okay. So here it is.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So this is my favorite thing to do in the world. I get in here and I am gone for hours. This is going to save my life. And my life is already saved. But this is like the most, I had to run all the way downstairs, sorry. This is the most, like, I can't describe what it does. So you have your regular games that you play, right?
Yeah.
What do you play?
I'm a PlayStation fan. I have, well, I mean, console gaming, I mean, it's just something that I've always had. I would love to have a fancy PC, but the thing is, that's all by the by. It's about the fact of just getting lost in this world.
Yeah.
Both myself and my partner, we say the same thing. There's something about computer games that just really just bam, like brings us both right down into the zone. I love getting lost in some kind of fantastical adventure as much as I'm happy to just pick it up for 20 minutes and have a little blast on something. It feels like it's, like you say, it's the defrag instant, you know?
100%. I recommend games and VR for every human being on the planet. I think, and especially the ones that are dealing with high technology and very fast lifestyles, I think it just makes a lot of sense. You know, some people can get the same feeling going on a horseback ride into the country, but if you don't have access to that, you can do a horseback ride with King Arthur and Guinevere.
This is the funny thing, because I've noticed in kind of as we go on the path towards deeper, you know, and higher work, things like video games, people can be quite derogatory about them. Like, oh, I was away for a time, what are you doing? And I'm like, dude, you know, it's amazing. It's pretty inexpensive to get into, and it's something that you can do wherever you are. I think there's a virtue in that. It's real, you know, to be able to have something that you can just unplug from your life as long as you come back in.
Isn't that what they do when they go to concerts? I mean, aren't you unplugging and plugging into some other interface?
Yeah,
and
100%.
It's music, it's sound, so it's a different stimuli. But so what's the difference? It's so amazing how people don't understand how games work.
It's the ego is the difference. Is people now, we don't see it so much that people think that computer games is something for kids, because we've got like 2 and a bit generations now that have just grown up with this as part of the landscape. What Nintendo, what Mario coming out, what, like 1985?
Right.
You know, home consoles since the 70s, and this real kind of culture of gaming as it is with the PlayStation coming out in the mid 90s, kind of kicking it up a notch into a level of maturity. So for over 25 years, this is such a big part of the cultural landscape. It would be insane to say that it's some kind of fad or something that's lesser, or it's not such a high art form. I mean,
whenever there's a tech conference or expo out here in LA, I immediately, oh, and for those of you who don't know, I forgot to mention, Alastair is in the UK, in London, and I'm in Malibu, California, in the US. Because we have 100 new members this week, and they came in real fast.
Really?
And I asked everybody to say where they were from in our Facebook group, United Starseed Connections, which I'm the founder, and I also forgot to mention. And it turns out they're from around the world. So a lot of you who do tune in and are watching, welcome, by the way. Alastair and I have been really enjoying doing this weekly show. So yeah, I'm going to tell the truth. This is going to expose me a little, but I have to say it. I would love a world where I could, I mean, I love nature and I live in nature. I live in this beautiful landscape, but I I could just live in games. I could live in VR. I'm not am I ashamed? Maybe a little bit, but I just
No,
really,
don't be ashamed. Don't be.
I just, it's too fantastical and there's too much. What about the wizards who created these games? I mean, I don't really like the way there's kind of a sweatshop mentality on how these games are produced. I think there could be
Yeah.
more evolution in the actual production and the gaming. The gamers who are hired to code are a little mistreated. Well, in some cases, mistreated a lot
Well,
because
you
they.
just if you read about how I think it was Grand Theft Auto was made, there's some questionable stories of practice surrounding that, which is a shame
It is a
because
shame.
it's
I think it's just because it's considered, it's like the gold rush. So it's such a big push in making sure we get the content out. Because if you have millions of streams all the time, I mean, this is like a billion-dollar industry, multi-billion-dollar industry. So I could just imagine where, you know, you have the guy cracking the whip and he's like, get these games out. Come on, put your 20 hours a day in. And these poor gamers are these coders are extremely exhausted and they have no relationship with their friends and family anymore, and they're burned out, have anxiety, and I feel bad for that. But I don't want to boycott games and say like I'm no longer going to watch them so that the industry can go away. What I'm going to do is continue to support the industry so that the people who are creating the game see that we're not going anywhere, so they can calm down and do normal work hours and get some normal structure in their workforce.
yeah.
But
I
anyway,
agree. I
I don't
think
know why I needed to get political for a second, but
that's fine. A bit
I
of politics is fine.
just wanted to show that I'm conscious of what is happening in the gaming world, but that doesn't change the fact that I want to live inside these games. What else are we talking about? We were talking about Marvel Comics, which I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan.
And the movies specifically, because essentially the intention, the overarching plot of today was to do with the kind of how to recharge and reset and those things that we do and that bring us to that place. And for me, the past few weeks, we've just been mainlining the Marvel movies,
Right.
you know.
Which is your
Um,
favorite? You know, I'm going to ask you, which is your favorite?
well, this is a difficult question now.
I know.
I'm just gonna say it. It always has been Iron Man, but
Oh,
then
good. Yes.
as we started going through, when I first saw Doctor Strange, I was like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
amazing. But now I've developed an appreciation for Thor
Good.
because there's
Oh
something
my
about
gosh, I'm so glad.
the magical Thor, the mighty Thor, the something about his character and just what he can do, I think is awesome, you know. But then Iron Man's that kind of like the anti-Batman, you know, because Batman was my favorite with the DC comics. But something about Iron Man, just that swagger, I was like, yeah, I mean, if I had all the money and all the brains, I probably wouldn't do the womanizing, but I definitely would do the Iron Man thing. So
Yeah, they say that that character is based off of Elon Musk, and the person who actually said that is Robert Downey Jr. himself. Actually interviewed and said he went to meet Elon and did a full tour of SpaceX before he created his character. So it's actually based on Elon, which makes it so exciting. But
because he's in the second movie as well. He has a little part,
yeah.
like a little, you know, he's in like scene near the beginning, just like, oh hello, you know.
What did you think of the last Avengers?
What
People have
the
mixed
last
feelings.
one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Some people have mixed feelings on that one.
Well, I mean, you can see that they were moving to a new zone. I thought Captain Marvel was amazing.
Me
You
too.
know, I don't.
I
I
love
got
it. Yeah.
I got really. Can I swear on the show, or
Yes,
no?
you can.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to swear. I got very. I'm going to lean into my Britishness. I was quite displeased to see the kind of commentary on the internet by fans of Marvel, Star Trek, all of these things. When this kind of these new wave of energy came in, Star Trek comes back and it's got a strong woman main character, and then Captain Marvel comes out and it's women kicking ass, and there's just some dudes out there that can't handle it because it threatens their masculinity. But that's another conversation for another time.
Well,
Because I thought,
I don't think they liked Brie, the actress.
nah, that's their
If
problem.
you do research on Brie herself, she is a very strong feminist, and which is great. And she just really is very outspoken and very balanced female. And nobody on her castmates liked her. If you go Google right now on YouTube, or you don't have to do it right now, but if you Google most hated woman in Hollywood, Brie, what's her last name? Is it Nelson?
Larson.
What was it?
Larson.
Larson. So if you Google most hated woman in Hollywood, there's all of,
By the co-stars.
yeah, all the stars that have worked with her that are men don't like her. And I've watched all her interviews and I see exactly why they hate her. You want me to tell you? She doesn't cater at all to male ego.
Well, that's fantastic. These are the kind of women I want to be around, because there's the energy is balanced. There's nothing to prove because there's everything to prove, and you're just proving it by being there.
Yeah.
Like
A lot of these characters, these male actors, are very, very into their whole, shtick. So they were very, they don't like how aloof she is and how confident she is. And also they don't like that she looks like kind of the average woman, which was even insult to injury. And they were just super challenged by her. And she finds it very hilarious and talks about them right in front of them she doesn't understand what their problem is. And they don't like that either, because she doesn't do the standard protocol of saying the right thing. So
well, this is the wonderful thinker. I'm just going to look up how old she is,
I think she's in her 30s. She's like 34.
89 and a Libra. We would get along fine being a Libra from 84. But the point is, we are members of the Pluto in Scorpio generation, in that we are here to basically fuck up everything that everyone has ever known. So when you talk about these traits, I'm like, yeah, she sounds like one of us, which is basically all of my mates, particularly all of my women mates are like proper badasses.
Yeah.
Real, like they exactly as you've described. And then a lot of my male friends as well are the same. We're very like energetically balanced people, but we're also here to completely disrupt everything in terms of structures and systems.
Last night I was watching in Portland, Oregon, in the US. There was I think it's been over a week or more of defamation and rioting in the main capital, and there's been riots and the armored guards, and everybody's just in there fighting. It's just really bad. Now what was going on is they were saying what you just said. They're saying, we're here to disrupt the system and we want to change everything, and we're here to show that you are using undue force, unnecessary and unreasonable force when this is a peaceful protest, etc. So I take what you're saying and I agree. And I also know there's like a certain amount of, there's a limit. Like, I'm not going to go into Walmart with a gun to go prove my position, that I'm going to fuck things up. But if I can use art and music and sound and creativity and movies, I would love to make movies.
Yeah. This is a similar stance to myself, in that I'm not going to go out there and start throwing things on the street. I'm going to express my desire for a fairer, more equal world through my work. and the way I express creatively, because to me that has more value. To me, I've always believed in having a broad church and speaking to as many people as possible. And I don't care if someone is on the left wing or the right wing. I'm more bothered about the decisions of the people that they choose to represent them. And if we talk about that kind of thing, it actually brings people closer together, because we'll see that there's a lot more commonality. A lot of people just want an easy life. People want a fair life. People don't really want to exploit other people, if we boil it all back. And that's the conversation I'm interested in. But in terms of creating change, I'd rather help people learn to connect with their inner joy that's been beaten out of them through the school system, or the subconscious needs to seek approval that they have through their corporate structure.
Can I ask you what you learned in the 5th grade?
I can't even remember.
What about the 10th grade?
10th grade.
So we learned language, and we learned art, and we learned math. Did we learn anything else? Because I mean, am I supposed to still remember? Because I mean, was it a memorization that we were doing for 12 years? Is that what we were doing? We were memorizing, or were we learning?
Programming.
I guess the math and some sciences we learned.
We had, so by what would be the 10th grade in the UK, so you were like 14?
Yeah.
Going into that.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we start what was called the GCSEs. So that's like 2 years of, you pick all of you have your core subjects, your English, math, science, a language, something humanities based, something arts based, something practical. And you are doing it so you're basically, from then, you're streamlining the spectrum so you know what work you're going to do, and it's bullshit. And the thing, it's like you're saying about the maths. Everyone's like saying, oh, well, you need to do this because it's not like you're going to have a calculator in your pocket. All those teachers
always say that.
Yeah, I know.
Do you remember how the mitochondria divides?
I mean, no. I mean,
do you remember
do
you remember how photosynthesis works?
Yeah, the plant takes nourishment from the light through.
And the only reason we know that is because we're force-fed that information through how we eat. But honestly, I don't know how much was retained for those 12 years, and yet they're considered, by law, we have to memorize and learn these things. So it's definitely time for a massive change in our educational system. That is quite clear and evident, especially how old and outdated our school books are. By the time a student cracks open a book, we have already passed all of that information on. And plus, history, as we are finding out, is biased, and it is all different in every country. The same period of time is completely seen, and the propaganda is different in each country. So your history books are all flawed.
Well, this is it. What I'm interested in linking up with people that want to change the education system. I've had a few ideas which are kind of on the back burner that I will happily talk to you about in private.
Oh my gosh, that will be a long phone call.
Not necessarily on the show, because I don't want someone else doing it and doing it bad. But I think there's one, I will share this. I am interested in studying a history course where every lesson of the curriculum is taught by someone from the perspective of a different country.
Yes.
Because then, we break the frame. This is an interesting thing. As you probably have noticed from my personal Facebook activities, I've really been going at it, like sharing tarot readings and energetic forecasts and this kind of thing. And I see the frame breaking. I see the paradigm breaking. I see everything going like this, and it's like the earthquake and the building structures going like that. What you wouldn't do in an earthquake is hang on to the pillar. You don't. You would try and take shelter, or if you can, as is the case in this earthquake, get away from the building. So why is everyone there going, no, we must hang on to this, this is everything we know, everything's going to be broken, oh my God, help me. And then they're just going to get flattened.
True.
I see that, and it drives me mental.
I know. Well, eventually the shaking will get so severe that they'll be thrown off from that pole onto the floor, and we'll be there to pick them up. I will say that I do not believe that we are going back to any older paradigm or any standard, which is the best thing that can happen to us, because everybody who took for granted everything from walking into a movie theater to just going to school, just the normal, and I say that just for the general speaking of the term, but the average things that we took for granted, like the fact that we have to really work hard to be able to have that again, is a really big wake-up call for everybody, that we took for granted structures and systems thinking they are always going to be that way. And yeah. I'm glad that we are all not knowing what's going to happen next, because this is the first time in history the whole globe is learning to stand on their own 2 feet in their own way and learn how to communicate with each other from a new place. And this is the best thing for me personally. There's a lot of healers like myself and you that all feel very empowered and excited about this time frame. This is like, I've been waiting for this moment. I know that's why I chose to be born in 1973 and came in as an 80s girl, and I just came in here to rock and roll, and I wanted to see this whole thing go down. That is the whole, it's worth everything. It's worth the price of admission to see what I'm seeing right now. And I can't wait for that to be the mass consciousness, the mass consensus, is when people start to really see the benefits that have come from this big shake up, wake up.
I couldn't agree more. With me, like, I'm 35. One of my dear friends, Sarah, also of Persian heritage, and she's the astrologer that I was trying to connect you guys with. We're both coming into our nodal return. So the north node, south node comes back to where it was when you were born. And part of the thing with the nodal return is it's like a massive, like, integrative reset almost, so you can either be like I'm starting again fresh, or you can take everything that you've learned and bam. And I know I chose this life at this time, so my nodal return would happen now. So
I just completed mine.
Do you know what I mean? So there's that idea that everything's changing, everything's shifting, but you just kind of somehow know what to do, and like everyone's freaking out. And then there's all this kind of like I was talking with someone last night about this, and we called it like the societal fractalization. So like fractal geometry, but fractal raging at each other. It's just getting divided. Whereas as that happens and everything shifts, and let's fast forward to Cosmic Coffee July 2021, it'll be like, yeah, that's pretty cool, man. All these things are like, kind of what's going on here, what's all this, what's that. And like you say, like not taking things for granted. We talk a lot about shifting in consciousness and increased dimensional awareness. How's Joe Public, who doesn't give a damn about this, going to come into that state of being? They are going to do exactly what you said. They don't take anything for granted anymore. They see the complexity, everything. They see that the green is more green than it was, and the blue is more blue than it was, and the sound is more vibrant, and the heat is more warming. And
yeah, because that repetitive nature, you start to go mind numb when you start to see the same behavior and repetitive actions everywhere. You're not paying attention anymore, because the brain, how it works is it memorizes and it records and it plays it back to you when you see the same thing over and over again. So you're not even in real time looking at anything. And so on top of that, you have repetitive behavior. So all of that is changing, and we're removing all of that repetitive behavior. And like you said, now people are starting to wake up. The great shake up, wake up 2020. I'm going to write a meme. I said it here first. And so people are starting to realize that I have to pay attention. I can't just go to the farmer's market. I can't just go without having to do protocol and change the way I am.
That's it. That is it. Everything's different and it's great. Now, we're kind of lucky because we are like, Blu-ray Jedis. There's my lightsaber. There we go. Is there a VR lightsaber game?
I like how you said that because that sounded really authentic.
What? Oh yeah, I've been doing this for years. I've been trying to like use the Force for years, man. Like just moving little things, but it's not quite there yet. The point is like, as we say, everything's going to be different, and we're going to be aware of this in advance. For about another 10 years or so, people are going to be trying to like get back into that old groove, you know, doing the old things, doing this, doing that. And, you know, people turning up the dial on things to try and get things back the way they were. Whereas us, the Jedi and whatnot, will be focusing on building new things, doing new ideas, bringing these new connections, really making the most of this idea of a collection of tribal villages all over the globe that are all connected by high-speed broadband. You know, this mixture of the old and the new, to nourish something totally different and amazing. Like, to me, that's what I see and I feel, and I just feel really strongly about it. You know, this is happening, it's forming. There's no doom and gloom, there's no worry, there's no stress, there's no spaceships going to beam us off the planet before it implodes and everyone dies. None of that. I feel so strongly that there's this wonderful recalibration happening around us, which is part of the reason why we're all at home chilling out with our loved ones. And
I don't know about anybody else, but if anybody's listening to you right now, that was super hot what you just said. Did anybody else pick up on that? I wanted you to repeat that whole thing again if you could, but you can't. I know, but that was so exciting. I want to hear that every day. That was like uplifting, stimulating. That was hot, hot tamales. That was like, yes, that's rock and roll right there. You are rocking and rolling right now. That's what that means, is being in the moment. Anything can happen. This is a new paradigm. We're waking up. This is good news. Come on, get out, get off the floor, sit up, stand up, put your VR on, put your game on.
That's it.
Playtime.
Order a pizza, crank up the stereo, drink a beer, do whatever you want. It's fine. Loosen up a bit. The great Lyran message, if you just got to loosen up a bit, which is so funny.
I haven't planned our dance party, and you're going to DJ it. And the reason I haven't is I kept not getting this as the time, because I always tune in and I always feel where everything's at. And I kept getting, no, not yet, not yet, not yet. But it's good that it's on standby. And it's good that we have people that want to join. But I kept feeling that I'm waiting for this particular vibration, and I'll know when it happens. And then I'll let you know, okay, it's time. I'm just not feeling it right now.
I think we have to get to the other side of August. I know that there's not.
You're right.
It's not the done thing when doing channeled work to be specific about dates.
Right.
Because that to me is like, you know, we were talking last week about the channel messages and stuff, and to have like, this is going to happen at on the 13th at precisely 2:15 p.m. We kind of paint ourselves into a corner, but I have this sense that August is just a time to sit on the deck chair. That is it. Pure and simple. Leo season this year is just going to be chilled. Hang out with your lions, appreciate the mains, let them do their thing. We all put the Ray-Bans on, drink something cold. That's the theme for this year. I feel it, you know. And once we get through that, because we've got this wonderful window right now where things are a bit more open, stuff's happening, things are going a bit like this. Did you watch the video with the doctors that's doing the round on Facebook? Watch the video with the doctors. That's interesting. That's a can of worms.
Tell me a little bit.
That's a can of worms. A bunch of doctors in the States, all frontline practitioners, saying,
"Yes, I saw that."
You know, one lady in particular, Dr. Emmanuel. She is also a pastor, and someone shared the video with me last night privately. And it was on a news channel that I don't really go to because it's kind of far on one way of the political spectrum. But I thought, I'm just going to watch this, sift through all the politics and see what the message was, and they're saying, you know, we've cured people of this. This is what we're doing. Stop it. Stop freaking out. We can have this under control. This is going to be like a snowball. So all we got to do right now, my friends, my loved ones, is just sit back and relax and loosen up. Watch a movie. Mainline all the Marvel films. Mainline all the James Bond films. There's 50 of them.
Oh, damn! I want to do that.
No, 50 years, not 50 films. Sorry, that's
I have to do the James Bond whole. I need to do a marathon.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I've been thinking about that. Oh.
50 years of movies there, you know?
Well, last night I just finished Aquaman, and I'm glad I waited. I didn't like it when I saw it in the theater, but I'm glad I gave it a second chance now because I have a new vision. And it was just nothing but Atlantis, nothing just but amazing visuals. Whether you like Jason Momoa or not makes no difference. He's chiseled. That's all that matters. And then there's just tons of beautiful things. And it was just beauty. It was eye candy. I mean, he wants it to be eye candy. We want it to be eye candy. Everybody's enjoying the eye candy. And that's what some of these Marvel comics are about, is just really taking you into these other worlds. Some people say, well, it's not real. It's not real acting. It's not real theater. It's not real movies. And, you know, it's an insult to the movie industry, these blockbuster type of...
Scorsese and Spielberg and all of these old dudes who are out of touch, out of time.
Well, I will say I have to tell you, Shakespeare. Oh my God, I don't know why I said Shakespeare.
Going way back there.
That's
way back to the Tudor times.
Spielberg did Ready Player One, and that saved him. He actually can go out in peace now. That was a legacy moment. He did E.T., then he did Ready Player One.
Do you know that some of that was filmed around the corner from me? Ready Player One.
Jealous.
Yeah. There's where I live in Tottenham. It's pronounced. It's basically it's written as Tottenham, but everyone calls it Tottenham. And I don't know what the hell to say because my accent's all over the damn place. But there's some quite like industrial parts of it, and then also there's artist warehouse communities where we used to live. They did some of the filming like around these different bits.
Oh yeah, there was a big warehouse scene.
Yeah, so that's all around.
Did you watch
here.
This movie? Have you watched it?
I've not seen it yet. But
really?
one of my old co-workers was in it, so he was telling me about it.
Okay, Alastair, you have to see this.
Is that tonight's viewing?
Absolutely. You have to watch Ready Player One. You will absolutely freaking love it. And it's all about this. And it takes you away.
I'm up for that. I'm familiar with the...
I've even forced my kids to watch it with me. They have to, and they admitted, because they don't like the things I like, and they admitted that was good.
There we go. This is kind of chisel away a little bit. Yeah, I'm familiar with the story. You know, like when you do the book report, the little crib notes things, the yellow books. It's like that's my awareness of Ready Player One. So I will definitely check it out for sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what it's about because the whole movie is about understanding the movie. And I've watched it 5 times, and each time is amazing because it's so layered. And it's our kind of movie. It's a cross between Marvel Comics and Jedi mixed with a VR. He just laid it all out. He gave it everything he had. He just let it all out.
Should we talk about how Star Wars is just the Orion Wars channeled, or should we say?
Oh my gosh! Yes, it is. Do you know at Disneyland in Los Angeles they had just opened the Star Wars section of the amusement park, and we went and we sat in the Falcon. We rode around. We went into there was lightsaber workshops. I mean, it was profound. I didn't even care about the rest of Disneyland. We could just cut all that out and just have the Star Wars section.
I would be up for that. You know, like one of my friends runs a film and TV production logistics business, so van driving for the industry. And I do some relief driving for them sometimes last year. And we were doing the reshoots of Rise of Skywalker. So I turned up at like, what was it? Pinewood or Shepperton, one of the big studios. I think they're right next to each other anyway. And someone's like, yeah, we need to like get some parts. So we had like part of like the Death Star in the back of the van, and we saw the shoot. I saw the shooting set of the Falcon, you know, like the cockpit and things, and I was just kind of like,
So tell us what you know about the Orion Wars and how it's similar to Star Wars, the movie.
Well, I mean, like, it's George Lucas is an Orion starseed, from my understanding, you know, and it's this, whether it was intentional or not, there's ways of getting these stories out into the consciousness, so we kind of know what happened. We learn the lessons. You know, for me, it's about learning the lessons. Someone says to you, "Oh, you're like, you know, massive Arcturian energy." I'm like, cool. To me, it's important about what are the qualities. It doesn't matter to me. It matters to me what is the.
Yeah.
How can I express this energetic representation through what I do in this world? So like for me, like the idea of like Star Wars being channeled material, and of course like Star Trek being Arcturian channeled material, we've just gone way out here very quickly, haven't we? That's okay. That's fine. I'm all right with that.
Right.
Learning the lessons, you know, learning the idea, which is for me, it's why I'm not so sure about the recent Star Wars films, basically. That's what I'm getting at. Because I don't feel like they're telling the same story.
Yeah,
and I think it's the story
what
that's...
the storyline is anymore. I'm a little lost. Is anybody else lost, or is it just me?
So where did you get up to?
Well, I watched the last one. I've watched it twice. I'm trying to find some redeeming qualities. There's an actor that I started to grow attached to. Let me see his name. I saw him for the first time in Star Wars. I've also seen him in another Netflix movie. So let me just pull it up and see what his name is. He was one of the main characters. John Boyega.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic energy.
Really love him. Like, wow. I mean, he's surpassed a lot of actors that I've seen lately. Just something about his demeanor and his candor, his eyes, the way he looks at everything, and his sensitivity. And also I've seen him in roles where he's been very hardcore and he's very convincing. So he's definitely a rising star. He's already big considering what he's played, but to me, that's just the beginning of what he's capable of.
But he became quite a face of the BLM movement. He gave quite a rousing speech in London, and he was just like, I don't care if this hampers my career, these things need to be said. And then after that, he had a bunch of directors saying, we'll work with you. So it's speaking your truth, even though your voice shakes.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah, man. And like the other thing, like if we kind of ping back to Star Wars for a minute, because we kind of just like threw a big boulder in the lake there.
Right.
And there was like, yeah, like this is what happens when you have like a Sagittarius cusp in your moon sign. You just throw those flaming arrows and keep going, and like everyone's like, what about that one? It's like, I don't care. You deal with it. It's fine. The Death Star. Could we arguably say we're talking about like the destruction of some of the original planets, the domains of the human/Lyrans?
Yeah.
What do you think?
That sounds very reasonable. Because the movie is not very Pleiadian, I've had a hard time relating to a lot of the characters because they just don't feel very much like what I'm familiar with. So like if I watch Lord of the Rings, I'm right there. I'm like I'm in the movie itself. But sometimes, and
You
even
have a bit of
Star
the,
Trek
what's
to
his name?
whatever degree. I do understand the Star Trek lineage as well to whatever degree, but Star Wars takes me far away from all of that. And it is the beginning. It has to be the beginning of civilization because it does go back that far, it seems.
It's quite overt, isn't it? A long
Yeah.
time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then this
Yeah.
idea of like this evil, oppressive force that has the power to destroy planets, and then this very the kind of could we, arguably say that the different. Oh God, what's the terminology? So, like, if I want to describe a group of characters within a group of characters, like a subsection, like the idea of maybe stormtroopers could be like a mind-controlled
Yeah.
section of society.
The
Am
android.
I just going completely off the cliff here?
No, the androids, and being programmed, and that's can be attributed to the grays, even where you have these like doll bodies and you have these androids that are programmed. What you did touch on something that is really important. You said light versus dark, good versus evil. So I want to share with you a question. I'm going to read you the question somebody wrote me, and I'm going to read you my response. And I'm going to
Okay.
elaborate on it a little bit more because you just actually went there without realizing it. So I took that as my cue that I need to bring it in. So according to my teachings, this person reviewed my work and my teachings of how I feel about duality and how you feel about duality, and how we are taking the higher road and we're having fun in spite of what's happening. And yet we're very aware of all of the conspiracies. We're very aware of all the different forms of realities that are out there, including alien takeovers and agendas and all of that. And we're still talking to everybody from, yes, but it's important to choose your reality and how you want to exist. So his question to me was this. He says, I just want to play and have fun, but do you agree that part of the awakening is knowing the truth, but choosing to live from a higher vibration? So what he means by that is the truth is, oh, sorry, I should take it back to the original question. And that was the second part. He said, do you know if the human species was created as a slave species for the rulers of the planet? It seems as though there was an agreement that as long as our species has free will, that it was okay. And then as our population grew, they needed to think it out using the plague, the Holocaust, etc. And we were on the verge of another population cleansing. The plan has been intervened, and now the Earth's population's consciousness is being elevated to unslave the species and return Mother Earth back to us so that we can be free. Is this the truth? I said, in short, I never heard the guides refer to this or to a prison planet, but they are aware of the mythology of this story. I suppose it is not the dimension they operate in and encourage us to operate in either. His response, I just want to play and have fun too, but do you agree that part of the awakening is knowing the truth, but choosing to live from a higher vibration? In other words, know that the truth is that we're slaves, but we're still going to live from a higher vibration and have fun anyway. We just know we're slaves, is the question. I think this is where I'm stuck. There is something that doesn't quite ring true when I try to understand. I feel like I'm not living in a higher vibration. It makes sense. Where's the balance? So I said, here's the truth. God is the truth. Higher intelligence is the truth. Fear is the truth. Play is the truth. Aliens are the truth. Takeovers are the truth. Having fun is the truth. Disease is the truth. Supernatural miracles are the truth. All of this is the truth. It's all the truth, everything. So it's all big sandboxes where we play in. So which sandbox do you want to play in? So when you said light versus dark, again, I'm constantly asked this question about, yeah, I understand you and Alastair want to play all the time. We get that. But, there's like alien takeovers and slavery happening. And we even have movies made about it. And there's videos. And, that's really happening. So you can't just be happy. So my answer is,
Why not?
Why not? And whatever dimension that human slavery exists in, why would you want to go play there? So what? Let the people who want to believe that and play in human slavery conversations play that. I would rather play here and music, guitar. That's right. I knew you were going to do that. Let's do it again. Ding. This is where we rather play. Like, this is going to be our thumbnail. Do it again.
Yeah.
Can we do a thumbnail? That is where we would rather play than alien takeover stories. So his question is, why do I not feel high vibrational? And I say, because you're playing in a sandbox called human slavery.
Can I offer him some thoughts?
Yes.
As well. Well, for one, he's slave to himself, a prisoner of his own mind, in terms of trying to. You can't. One of my dear friends of many years said to me after a very horrendous experience in an abusive relationship finally came to an end. You're kind of shell shocked and you're like, oh. And I remember we were drinking beer and he just put his hand on my arm. He's like, man, sometimes you just can't make sense of the senseless, because think about it. It's just senseless. Right now, there are so many things happening. So many things. People want to hang a narrative on everything so the human mind can relate to it, can interface with it in a way that allows them to feel comfortable. And sometimes you've got to get a little weird. You've got to get a little uncomfortable. And if you aren't going to get uncomfortable, you're going to be made to get uncomfortable. So you might as well enjoy it and embrace your growth, live your truth. Because if you want to choose a higher vibration, we could spend weeks down the rabbit holes of the internet. We could be sending each other panic messages all hours of the day, but what good would we be to anyone, anything, let alone what good would we be to ourselves, to fetishize suffering, to turn misery into a fetish, to turn the struggle of people across the world into a fetish? What good does that serve anyone to do that at all? It doesn't. And it's so easy, because if you think about it, you've got to go faster and faster to achieve breakaway velocity, but then when you broke free of the gravity, you can coast a little bit before you hit the booster on again, just for more momentum. You don't have to be running and running and running and running all the goddamn time. You run, you coast, you run, you coast. We travel on momentum through this plane of existence. And
so
sometimes...
how many people are on this planet? 7 billion, right? Something like that?
Nearly 8 now.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like 7.8 or 7.6 or something.
Okay, so how many stories are those? And so we're
so many.
To keep up on all of that? Why?
But, also, it's not like, we just want to, let me get one thing straight for our viewers. I know that you already know this. There's nothing, there's a binary that, and you can edit this out if this is too much, but I'm going to say it anyway. There's a binary that I cannot stand in the kind of higher vibration consciousness light work community, whatever you want to call it. One, the conspiracy fetishists. Fuck off, right? I know that some of this shit is real, but I don't want to get into it, because what am I going to do about it? I want to make music, have a good time. I want to help other people. I want to help people connect with their truths. I'm interested in Gnosticism, yes, because I'm interested in a lot of things, but I'm not going to suddenly start thinking that everything is in, my whole life force is being drained to power some interdimensional fucking lizard. No, not happening. I don't consent to it. Out of the way. On the other side,
it's so true.
The antithesis of this, which I also will utter some words, the Live, Laugh, Light Brigade, who live a life of no accountability, believe in unconditional love that is somehow attached, that you can behave to however the hell you want to anyone, but you can just go, love and light, darling, love and light. Oh, it's okay, love and light. No. We've transcended our egos and all this. Fuck off. Like, it's crap, because this has become your ego story. Not having an ego has become your ego story.
Cheers.
These polarities that exist because people are like, no, we must know the truth. It's like, okay, you become a slave to the rabbit hole. The rabbit in your mind working the controls is having a field day as it humps your cerebral cortex into oblivion. The other side is unintegrated trauma that is bypassed. And you know what? Go through the broken glass. You've done it. I've done it. It was shit. It was horrible, but we did it so we can be like this in the here and now. And that's what I have to say about this.
Keep freaking going.
So,
you got it. That's
don't be a prisoner. Don't be a prisoner. There is nothing, no one can be of service to this world if we are a prisoner to anything, if we are a slave to anything, if we believe that aliens landed millions of years ago and made us sign an eternal oath to ancestral slavery. Maybe it did happen once upon a time, but I can tell you now, getting it, it's not going on now. It's not happening now.
If you believe in it, it's going to happen to you.
Exactly, because you tune into that frequency. You tune into that radio station where they're spewing hate and bile and playing Barry Manilow 24 hours a day. No, thank you. I don't want to listen to that. There is a very interesting, again, following on from last week's show where we were talking about channeled messages, and I've been really getting into this, pulling apart channel messages and enjoying it, and connecting with other people in different groups. I hang out in the Syrian Starseed group, I hang out with Pleiadian Arcturian community group, I hang out Arcturian group, just in kind of to have this kind of galactic conversation, see what's going on in that sphere. And someone was saying, they shared a message from this guy who's a Daniel Scranton channeling the Arcturian Council. It was a little bit like, but I thought I'd check it out. He said something fantastic that was about to connect with your higher self, and that was that it was about playing and having fun and connecting with your fellow human beings. And that is the ultimate truth right here, because we could wait forever for some higher being to manifest and save us, because the irony is, if we do that, it's never going to happen. Because it won't anyway. We're all extensions of this source energy. We're all realizations of different ideas to play out these different stories, so the source energy can have all of these different experiences through our lifetimes at once.
You want me to blow your mind?
Yeah, do it. Go. Have it.
Humanity can come up with, and has come up with, the savior. Because obviously we can't do it ourselves. Apparently we have seen our limitations. So what do? We create the savior.
Hand it over. Hand over the keys. Drive my car for me, oh dear one.
Right.
It's like, it's terrible, dangerous stories to tell ourselves. Yeah. Really dangerous.
It's blindfolding yourself so you don't actually see how to not only create your reality, but you don't actually take accountability for your own reality creations. So you blame deities, and you blame lizards and reptilians and draconians, and you blame the grays. I'm not saying they don't exist. No one's saying they don't exist. They exist just as much as Jesus Christ and Buddha and Muhammad exist. It's just, how would you like to proceed? What is the way you would like to do your daily life? So if you want to go and make them your gods, you can. If you are fully expressed and going to enjoy yourself and enjoy your life, then do it. If you have no peace, there's your clue that this storyline is not working for you.
Yeah. Isn't like you say that nothing that isn't rooted in love cannot exist above, what is it, like fifth or seventh dimensional consciousness, one of those two?
It breaks apart. It just can't live. It can't exist at that vibration.
Is it the fifth or the seventh, though?
It's fifth.
Okay. So if the idea of, the idea of ascension of consciousness from 3 to 4 to 5. How are you going to get there if you're hanging on to this shit?
Because it's all duality and tension, because it's good versus evil and contrast. So you're still you're playing in the ping pong game instead of playing the game itself, or being the game maker, or being the game. So you're playing the sides, taking sides, and that's just it's a very old school, archaic way of looking at reality, because reality is all things.
What happened to infinite love, infinite knowing, infinite understanding, presence, radiance?
What do they say? Unconditional love.
Yeah, exactly. But not the kind of unconditional love the Live, Laugh, Light Brigade preach, where you can do anything.
You say one wrong thing to that brigade and they fall apart.
This is it. No, darling. No,
can't do it, darling.
Did you
can't follow you there.
I remember you were saying that you guys are fond of like British TV shows and stuff. Have you watched Absolutely Fabulous?
Let me look it up and see. I've seen so many things. I have to just I might have. Fabulous. Is it on Netflix?
Oh yeah, I believe so. It's basically the premise.
Oh, I have not seen that one.
Oh, you are going to love
really
this.
Funny though.
It is ridiculous TV show.
I've seen a couple episodes. I have to watch it. Now I'm ready.
So,
a show brilliant in its uncensored bad behavior and satirical humor, this program features Adina and Patsy, two hardworking, drug-taking, completely outrageous, selfish middle-aged women. Their cruel humor focuses on the hypocrisy of today's society, much to the chagrin of Edna's more moral and conservative daughter, Saffron. I've seen one or two of these episodes.
Now, to me, bear in mind, this is set in West London. And I know a lot of the places, I've been to a lot of the places they talk about, and I lived in West London for a bit, and it was very much like that particular slither of it that I moved through. To me, the Live, Laugh, Light Brigade are the Patsy and Eddie of spirituality. Just change the wine and fags for ayahuasca and stuff, but not the proper ayahuasca.
I can't believe you said it. You found a way to say it. Oh shit! I have chills. I've been trying to figure out how to say that. Go ahead.
So not the kind of reverential experience where we go and we transcend, and it's like you kind of, someone like shoves an ayahuasca suppository up your butt at lunchtime one day, and then you get an injection to sober up by 4 p.m. It's this kind of compartmentalized, fast approach to everything.
Spirituality.
Yeah, so a real surface level, a thin veneer of enlightenment, these kind of things. This is Patsy and Eddie are a good model for this kind of Live, Laugh, Light Brigade that is the bane of my existence.
I agree. I mean, part of the reason this show exists is because I'm trying to be a voice amongst these very outspoken individuals who are very convinced that this is the way, which is fine. There's a lot of ways. We're all going in the same direction. But it's just what I find about it, it's that it feels off-putting only because it's not inclusive. There's definitely exclusivity to you have to do it this way, or you're not cool. And
they have a hierarchy.
Definitely.
They have a hierarchy, and really,
I'm going to be straight up when I tell you they're really stuck up.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, they're the ones
spiritually astute. They're very.
They need to, because the minute you throw a feather at their narrative, they're on the phone to their personal yoga therapist. Shit, let's get a tantra massage, and I'm going to have to write a blog about this, and oh my God, let's do a Instagram live. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you're saying this. I have been wanting to say it like that. I've said it much more the way you say it. So good.
It's right, Oriah. You can always say, my co-host is an an angry Brit who has a mouth on him. So, you know, I can't,
I
his
am
views
so
are his.
happy you said it that way, because that is so, it's so to the point, and it's really exactly how I feel about it, and I just have never been able to articulate it that way. But it's true. You're just replacing the wine glass for ayahuasca. It's
Yeah.
drive-through spirituality. There's hierarchy involved. There's ego involved. And how do you know? Because the second you throw a feather at their beliefs, or second you challenge them on what they're creating or what they're saying that they're creating, they flip out. And then you see anger right at the surface. And they're the first ones to accuse you of anger. And you're like, I'm just trying to have a conversation with you, but you're just like wanting to attack me. So, you know, and then they say, you know, because I'm not a part of how they feel, then I'm doing something wrong. So, so I have just removed myself from all of that, and I just am at a place where I'm just having a good time. I'm having fun, and I have a lot of interests, activities, hobbies, sports, things that I like to do. Well, not sports anymore, but I keep my nose clean. That's how I put it. I keep my nose clean. I keep my eyes on my desk. I mind my own business. And I have as much fun as possible. And I look around the room, and there's other people doing exactly what I'm doing. And they all like to team up with me and play, because we're all kind of playing the same game, which is you just mind your own business and take care of yourself and your loved ones and your family. And then whatever you can do to help others, you will. And it's very simple. This is not complicated. You knew about this when you were like 5 years old. So it's not hard, people.
No, that's exactly. And the other side of that, I mean, do we do the other side of the binary as well, or should we just move on?
Anything you say is fun.
Okay, well, I'm on a roll today. This is I'm embodying my Han Solo archetype from my life in the Orion Wars. Shit, did I just say that? I think I did. Anyway, so we've done Live, Laugh, Light,
right,
and discussed its danger. The whole thing of like the real fetishization of grief, of you got to know the truth, man. The truth. There's a truth that's going to set you free, man. And I don't know why I have that accent there, but there we go. I went there. To me, it is no different, and you can edit this out. To me, it is these folks who stare at these things obsessively, creating this really dark reality. To me, it is no different to people who watch the kind of pornography that someone gets killed in and they get a kick out of it. And that troubles me deeply, to the point where I just have to go, over there. Thank you very much. You do your thing. You cannot be a light worker if your version of spreading light is to spread darkness. And somehow pretend that by sharing the message of the awareness of the darkness is you spreading the light. It isn't. You are spreading more darkness. That is that. So it's much simpler with these guys, because it's like, hey, you know, you see how like my shadow is getting bigger on this side because it's actually getting dark outside. You know, that's a natural process. Putting more of this crap out into the world is not a natural process, because we talk about raising the vibration. We talk about planetary unity. We talk about collective consciousness. We talk the shared collective unconsciousness, the seat of all the ancestral memory, everything that has ever happened and ever will, sitting in the Akashic records that you and I can channel directly from whenever we want to, because we can, because we've done the work. Big deal. Who gives a shit? I don't. The point is, shoving this crap out into there, you know, I could be like, I could send these things to you. I don't send them to you. Why would I do that? You know, no, that's not in our soul contract for what we're doing here. No, thank you. We leave that. We leave it at the door, because it's everywhere. It's like mud. It's like walking through the mud. And you know, why would you do it? Why would you? So the Live, Laugh, Light Brigade can't handle their narrative being challenged. The light workers of darkness brigade can't handle their self-appointed position being challenged.
Oh my God, that's so
because both groups, don't edit this one out.
I'm not editing anything out.
have got unintegrated, unrealized trauma, pain, grief that is driving their narrative, driving their actions, driving their identity. It has become the hook that they hang their ego on, and everything will be damned if it tries to take that away from them. And isn't that dangerous?
It's not. I'm going to do a little bump on you right now. I'll just bump you up a notch. It's not dangerous. It's boring.
I mean, I was kind of saying dangerous for them, but yeah, it's boring for the rest of us.
It's boring. It's boring. The whole narrative of danger is boring, although it's real. But guess what? It's because we give it so much fucking power. And we are constantly talking about how dangerous is danger, how dangerous is danger, 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 danger. And so we keep mainlining off of danger. And so how are you going to go smell the roses if you're mainlining danger? So it's not that we're ignoring it, it's that the more attention you give a bad dog or a bad cat who's misbehaving, the worse they get. You have to ignore and move on. This is how you raise children. Like, you can't obsess over someone's bad behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, we can get immersed in all of this stuff so easily. And especially at the start of your journey, because I want to kind of like ping back to the question of, you know, this at the start of the journey of emancipation of consciousness, it's very easy to fall into these binaries. I you know, was challenging. There's one of my friends from uni. She's incredibly aware, strong Syrian energy, not the country but the planet. I don't know if she's aware of it, but she spends all of her time going, like, her Facebook is like the wall of the ode to the plandemic, you know. And I'm like, man, like, come on, I don't need to hear this shit. You are like, all of your energy is being sunk into this. And what was it, the sunk cost fallacy? You know, when you throw so much money into a failing business that you don't get out because you think, oh, it's all right, it's going to change, it's going to change. These narratives are becoming a sunk cost fallacy, and I wonder if at some point they realize that maybe they've gone in too far for too long, that they can't get out. So that documentary on Netflix about the flat earthers, and the guy towards the end, there's a look on his face, he's saying something, and to me it indicated of like, yeah, I'm like a little bit in too deep now to get out of this, you know. And it just makes me wonder. It really makes me wonder, like, how far do these people go consciously or unconsciously, and what is the point where they wake up from their own dream state of all of this crap they've been feeding themselves and feeding everyone else?
No different than religion.
Sorry?
It's no different than religion.
Yeah, totally.
So when you come out of religion, it's the same rabbit hole gone too deep effect. And when you come out, you're in shock, you're a little embarrassed, you kind of pooped in your pants, and you need some help cleaning up, and you don't know how you got there, and you kind of remember, and you want to blame somebody, but you can't, and you have to also be accountable and realize that God is everything, and it's a bigger picture than just what you thought. And you hope you still have friends at the end of it, and you're pretty humble.
Yeah. Or if you don't, you make new friends that are in
a
new place.
Friends that accept you right where you are.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, all of these stories, you know, it's like you're sat there with the radio dial out in the desert. This is you in some shack in the desert with the radio, and you can speak on the radio, but you're like tuning in, and you might like go through different stations and people chatting with each other before you get to the place you want to be, the place you want to hang out, the place you want to grow, you know? Could we arguably just say that it's all crap and end the science and religion debate now that if fractal geometry exists in everything, and we talk about a creator and living in a simulation, and the geometry is the code for the simulation, is the creator the energy that just wrote the code? Could we just like maybe just put that there and kind of look at it a minute and go, and then say, well, now what? What do we do now? Let's have fun.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I mean, because even if you go down the road of this is a virtual reality, holographic, augmented experience that we're all interfacing with, even if you go there and even if you know that you are creating every second that's happening every minute, on one side, that's really great because you can kind of control the ship a little bit better. But on the other side, if you're not having fun, then what difference does it make? What difference does it make? So you know how to ride the Falcon, but if you can't get it off the ground, then what difference does it make?
Yeah.
So that's why I don't get too attached to any conversation. I have a lot of conversations. I have books that I write. I talk about the brain. I talk about AI technology. I talk about holographic technology. I talk about interfacing. I talk about science and quantum fields. And it doesn't make a difference at the end of the day if you're not happy. If you're not having fun and playing and enjoying yourself, it doesn't make any difference. And
Yeah, who
this
cares?
is the big conversation that no one's talking about. The elephant in the room is, are you happy? Who cares what they're doing? That's what this
Are
is
you
all about. And we're
are
going to
you
have to wrap
happy?
up, by the way.
That's fine. Are you happy?
I'm personally happy. I know I'm
Yeah.
happy. Are you happy? Like Alastair's asking. I don't know if you were asking me or the world.
Yeah. No, I was asking you. I'm just
Yeah,
saying. Let's just
I
let's
am
just
happy. I'm
reaffirm.
happy because I'm content being myself. Myself is my entertainment. I have endless hours of entertainment with this avatar. The level of communication, excitement, and joy, and freedom and happiness that I have coursing through every single cell of my material veins and also my quantum material, non-material, quantum space in between the space areas are already been sifted through, managed, organized, kissed, made love to, hugged. I have organized, felt it all. I have joined forces with myself. I am communicating one with myself, so I'm having fun. So you could put me here, you could put me on planet Venus, you could put me on planet Orion. It doesn't matter where you put me. You could put me in a dream state with reptilian takeovers happening in a dream. I'm still having fun with my avatar. So it does not matter what system I'm in, what quadrant I'm in, what dimension I'm in. I'm having fun with myself. It's not a foreign concept. You came to the planet with it. You are reigniting and remembering and going back to your original state, your original format, your original hard drive, your original self. You're learning who you are again. There's nothing wrong. You took on a lot of information from a lot of places around the world. It's not meant to spook you. It's meant to show you. You're there to observe what other people are doing. And it doesn't mean you have to take it in. A healer is not somebody who sucks in the exhaust pipes from other people who are sharing information. That's not what being a healer is. Just because someone regurgitates or vomits or has an exhaust, it doesn't mean you have to consume what that person just said or did. All you're doing is learning how to be with yourself. That's it. That's all you're here to do. Learn to be with yourself. Hello, goodbye, good night. That's it. That is it.
We'll see you next week.
On that note, hasta la vista, babies. Love you guys. Peace out.